Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're opening a case file that honestly starts like every parent's worst nightmare. A missing child.
Absolutely. But this one takes a turn nobody saw coming.
Exactly. We're talking about the disappearance of 9-year-old Shannon Matthews back in 2008.
Yeah.
It sparked this enormous search, one of the biggest in recent British history.
Huge. Mobilized so many resources.
Only for the truth to be. Well, something else entirely. Something orchestrated from the inside.
A conspiracy, really. Shocking betrayal.
We've got stacks of material here. Police reports, trial notes, media analysis from the time. Our mission is to, unpack how this happened, how a desperate search became this twisted plot.
Yeah, it's a fascinating look, not just at the deception itself, but how the system, police, media, public sympathy got manipulated.
Right. Motivated by, well, greed. It's incredible how they seem to anticipate the reaction.
They played on those emotions, the expected financial response.
The story starts with this agonizing situation.
Yeah.
But you, listening, need to grasp the sheer scale of the lie that was unfolding over those 24 days.
Because that plot twist, it changes everything.
Okay, let's set the scene. Dewsbury Moor, West Yorkshire. It's February 2008, and it's freezing cold.
Proper Yorkshire winter.
Our focus is 9-year-old Shannon Louise Matthews. It's February 19th, about 3:10 in the afternoon. She's just finished a swimming lesson at her school, Westmore Junior.
And she's last seen walking away from the school. That's the starting point.
The walk home should have been short, right? Like half a mile?
Barely, yeah. A distance a 9-year-old does easily, so when she doesn't arrive, that's instant alarm bells in any community.
Especially now, with phones and everything. Kids usually check in.
Right. Her failure to cover that small distance, it signals high risk straight away.
Now, the timing of the report is interesting. Last seen around 3:12 p.m. But her mother, Karen Matthews, doesn't call the police immediately.
No, the official call comes in much later. It's logged at 6:48 p.m. that evening.
Which seems like a delay, but our sources, they also stress how desperate Karen sounded on that 999 call.
Yeah, the police released that call later, and it really became central to the public appeal. She sounds frantic.
She specifically said Shannon had never failed to come home before.
And that detail, that immediately flags it as serious. Not just a child late from playing. This felt different, urgent. The narrative was instantly distraught mom, missing child.
And the public reaction was immediate fear, of course. But there was also this instant comparison, wasn't there?
Yes, straight away, the media and public linked it to the Madeleine McCann case. She'd gone missing in Portugal not long before.
So that comparison, fair or not, just catapulted Shannon's case into the national spotlight.
Absolutely. It wasn't just a local issue anymore. It was a national tragedy in the making, guaranteeing massive attention.
Which meant massive resources, huge police effort. It framed that initial question. Child vanishes, freezing weather. Has something terrible happened? Stranger danger.
They had to assume the worst. With the McCann case so fresh, they couldn't afford not to throw everything at it. Show the public they were doing absolutely everything possible.
And everything is almost an understatement when you look at the details of the search over the next, 3 weeks?
24 days, yeah. And the scale was just unprecedented for the area. Detective Superintendent Andy Brennan leading it.
It officially became the biggest police investigation in West Yorkshire
Since the Yorkshire Ripper, 30 years prior.
That comparison really hits home, doesn't it? The Ripper hunt was this massive, scarring national event.
Exactly. So to say this rivaled it in scale for one missing girl tells you the level of resources being poured in, the urgency.
Let's break down those numbers. Peak operation involved how many officers?
250 officers plus 60 detectives.
250 officers. And the sources say that was about 10% of the entire West Yorkshire Police Force's operational strength at the time.
Think about that. 1/10 of the force dedicated to finding Shannon for nearly a month.
And it wasn't just boots on the ground. The cost must have been huge.
Staggering. They questioned, 1,500 motorists? Searched 3,000 houses?
3,000 homes searched. And the specialist teams.
Oh yeah, this is where you see the national resources being pulled in. 16 of the UK's specialist victim recovery dogs.
16 out of only 27 in the whole country.
Yep, over half the nation's capacity for finding bodies or survivors concentrated right there in Dewsbury.
Just the logistics of that. Pulling them from other potential cases.
It shows they were at maximum response. They used helicopters too, aerial searches, underwater teams.
Breaking ice on ponds and rivers in the freezing cold, right? Thinking maybe an accident. or worse.
They had to cover every possibility.
While all this is happening, the police costs alone hitting over £2 million. The community is also going all out.
Absolutely. Local people organizing searches, printing flyers, setting up their own little command posts. Real community spirit.
And then the reward money starts appearing, which we now know is kind of the point.
Exactly. The Sun newspaper offered £20,000 initially.
Which quickly jumped up.
Yeah, they raised it to £50,000 as the days went by with no news. Plus another £5,000 from a local business.
So that £50,000 figure, that becomes crucial later. That pot of gold at the end of this nightmare.
It was the target, the incentive she was banking on.
So you have 24 days, non-stop searching, massive cost, public fear, police dedication, community effort, all built on a lie.
A lie designed to make the search fail, orchestrated by the very person supposedly desperate for Shannon's return.
And because the search wasn't finding anything, despite all that effort, the media focus inevitably started to shift a bit, didn't it?
Yeah, naturally. From just the missing child, it started to zoom in more on the central figure, the mother, Karen Matthews.
And this is where it gets uncomfortable, because it wasn't just about the investigation. Social commentary started creeping in.
Oh, massively. The class angle became really prominent. Sources like The Independent, The Guardian, they highlighted this.
Especially the comparisons again to Kate McCann.
Right. The narrative was that Karen Matthews, coming from a working class background in Dewsbury, was not as elegant nor as eloquent as the middle-class doctor, Kate McCann.
And the implication, according to these sources, was that this difference affected how much sympathy or even how much national coverage she got.
Yeah, there was a suggestion that maybe the public or the media responded differently. A sort of subtle, maybe unconscious bias based on social standing.
It got pretty personal too, didn't it? The questions she faced in interviews.
Very. She was grilled about her life having 7 children with, I think, at least 5 different fathers, living on benefits.
Some sources called it revealing an uncomfortable hypocrisy, using her situation to scrutinize, the working class or the welfare system.
It definitely sparked that debate. Meanwhile, Karen herself is doing these very public, tearful appeals. GMTV, BBC Radio 4.
Playing the distraught mother role. She even defended her boyfriend at the time, Craig Meehan, didn't she?
Yeah, publicly insisted he would not hurt anybody. Trying to deflect any suspicion, maybe.
But while she's putting on this performance for the cameras, people close by were starting to notice things weren't quite adding up.
Exactly. This is a key early red flag. A neighbor, Natalie Brown, she's quoted saying Karen's public grief felt like acting.
Right, like she was performing. But the really chilling bit is what Brown said happened after the cameras left.
That she'd go home and giggle with her boyfriend.
Giggle while her daughter is missing. That's...
Wow. If neighbors were seeing that, why didn't alarm bells ring louder sooner?
Well, hindsight's 20/20, isn't it? Police focus initially is external threats, stranger abduction, especially with the mother's emotional display. Grief looks different on everyone, they might assume.
True. But that contrast, the TV tears versus the private giggling, it suggests the performance was maybe a bit too good.
It points to that internal conflict,
Yeah.
They were being played, perhaps not just by Karen, but by the expectation of what a grieving mother should look like. That carefully built image versus the reality. It just makes the eventual truth even more jarring. The stage was perfectly set for the big reveal. So 24 days pass, weeks of searching, national agony, millions spent, and then the break comes. Not from some high-tech police work, but a simple tip-off.
Yeah, just a crucial piece of local information. Someone reported hearing noises from a flat nearby.
How nearby?
Just 1 mile from Karen Matthews' own house, in a place called Lydgate Gardens, Batley Car.
1 mile. She was that close the whole time.
Right under everyone's noses. It's a first real shock.
So police raid the flat March 14th, 2008. What do they find?
They find Shannon, alive, thankfully, but hidden, concealed in the base of a divan bed.
In the storage part underneath.
Exactly, hidden away in there. And the
Yeah.
conditions, they were awful.
Oh, so?
She was tied up, physically restrained with a strap. It was tied around her neck, apparently, and then fixed to the bed frame.
Oh my God, tied by the neck.
Yeah, allowing her just enough movement to exist in that space, but absolutely no way to reach a door or window or get out. Basically kept in a dark box.
For 3 weeks. And the person living there.
The tenant, a 39-year-old man named Michael Donovan, they found him hiding, too, actually, in the bed's drawer when they raided.
Hiding in the drawer. Okay, so they arrest him immediately.
Yes, and his reaction, right as he's being arrested, that's the moment the whole narrative collapses.
What did he say?
He shouted out pretty much instantly, "Why aren't you going after Karen? We were going to split the 50,000 pounds."
Wow. Just like that. Spilled everything.
Right there. Linked Karen directly to it, confirmed the motive was the reward money, blew the whole stranger abduction story apart.
So the massive search, the public tears, the 2 million pounds, all a setup, a fraud.
An internal conspiracy. And the connection was soon established. Michael Donovan was related to Karen's boyfriend.
Craig Meehan's uncle.
That's the one. So not random. This was planned within the family circle, sacrificing a child for cash. The focus shifted instantly from rescue to conspiracy.
And the details of that plan, they just get darker and darker as they come out.
Utterly horrific. Karen Matthews eventually admitted it. She and Donovan had been planning this since January 2008, weeks before Shannon even vanished.
Planning it for weeks.
Yeah.
And the motive, as Donovan blurted out, was just money.
Purely the reward money. The plan was actually quite specific. They aimed to exploit the media frenzy and the reward offers.
How was it supposed to work?
Donovan would keep Shannon hidden long enough for the panic and the reward to reach a peak. Then he'd stage a discovery.
Like he'd just stumble upon her.
Yeah, the idea was he'd find her somewhere public, like Dewsbury Market, take her to the police, claim the reward, that 50,000 pounds, and then split it with Karen.
It sounds almost like a bad movie plot, except a real child was suffering through it.
Mm.
What about inside the flat? How did they keep her hidden and quiet?
Well, the police found evidence of how controlled her captivity was. There was a note, apparently, laying out rules for Shannon.
Rules? Like what?
Things like, no loud noises, don't go near the windows. Clear signs Donovan was terrified of being found out.
But was she just left in silence?
Strangely, no. The note also said she was allowed some things, electronic games, CDs, maybe an attempt to keep her occupied, subdued. Still terrifyingly isolated, though.
But the really sickening part, the thing that showed the depth of the cruelty that came out with the medical evidence, right?
Yes. This is where it goes beyond just the kidnapping itself. The trial heard evidence that Shannon wasn't just tied up, she was being drugged.
Drugged? With what?
Forensic tests found temazepam in her system. It's a strong hypnotic drug, a sedative, used for severe insomnia in adults. Definitely not something you give a child without serious medical reason.
So they were drugging her to keep her quiet during the kidnapping.
That was the initial assumption. But then came the bombshell from the toxicology reports.
What was it?
Using hair follicle testing, which can show drug use over time, they found evidence she had been given temazepam regularly for up to 20 months before she disappeared.
20 months. Nearly 2 years before the kidnap plot.
Exactly. 20 months. That finding just changes everything. It suggests Karen Matthews might have been sedating her own daughter long-term.
To control her, keep her quiet.
That's the strong implication. It suggests the kidnapping wasn't just a sudden greedy scheme. It was maybe the final act in a long pattern of using chemical control, perhaps masking other neglect or abuse.
So, not just a kidnapper, but potentially someone who had been drugging her child into compliance for almost 2 years.
That level of sustained betrayal, it's almost unthinkable. And it explained, perhaps, why Shannon might have seemed passive or subdued during the ordeal.
It turned public anger into absolute disgust. So after all this came out, the charges reflected the broader picture.
Yes. Both Donovan and Matthews were charged with kidnapping, false imprisonment, and the serious charge of perverting the course of justice, given the massive police deception. And Karen Matthews also faced a specific charge of child neglect, likely reflecting that long-term drugging evidence.
Then came the trial. November 2008, Leeds Crown Court. Must have been intense public interest.
Huge. Every detail was scrutinized. In court, Donovan tried to shift the blame, didn't he?
Yeah, he claimed Karen had threatened him, forced him into it, tried to paint himself as a pawn.
But Karen's testimony, that seemed to unravel pretty quickly.
Completely. The sources say she gave 5 different versions of what happened.
Yeah.
Sobbing, denying, shifting blame.
She even tried to blame her boyfriend, Craig Meehan, right? Saying he told her to take the blame.
Just grasping at straws, the prosecutor apparently hammered her on it, accused her of telling lie after lie after lie.
And with the forensic evidence of the drugging, the restraint, Donovan's confession, her defense just crumbled.
The jury found them both guilty. December 4th, 2008. All charges.
Yep. And in January 2009, they were sentenced. Both got 8 years in prison.
8 years. Seems maybe not that long, considering.
Well, we'll get to the release shortly.
Yeah.
But first, there was another related conviction we should mention, just for context.
Ah, yes. Craig Meehan, the boyfriend.
Right. When police searched Karen's house during the investigation, they seized computers. Meehan was later convicted separately for possessing child pornography found on his machine.
Okay, but just to be clear, that wasn't connected to the kidnapping plot itself.
No, the sources are clear on that. Separate crime, but it obviously added to the picture of dysfunction around the family.
So once Matthews and Donovan are convicted, the story explodes in a different way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It becomes this big political football.
Oh, absolutely. The focus shifted massively to debates about the welfare state, poverty, family breakdown.
And this is where we need to be careful. Just report what the sources said. There were some strong opinions.
Very strong. On one side, you had commentary, like in the Daily Telegraph, for example, framing the Matthews family as symptomatic of a welfare system problem.
The argument being that her lifestyle, the number of children, reliance on benefits, was somehow enabled or even encouraged by the system. That phrase, children equaled benefits, was used.
Yeah, suggesting the crime was almost a consequence of this perceived lack of responsibility fostered by state support.
But there was a very strong counter-argument presented too, right?
Immediately. Figures like Owen Jones argued forcefully that the case was being deliberately twisted and exploited.
Exploited how?
His view, widely reported, was that certain media and political groups were using the single horrific and very unusual crime to attack the entire welfare system and justify upcoming austerity measures, essentially demonizing the working class who rely on benefits.
So using a uniquely terrible situation to push a broader political agenda.
That was the argument. So you had these two really polarized views emerging from the same tragedy: system failure versus cynical political exploitation. Both views were out there, shaping public opinion.
Regardless of the political rows, the immediate victims were the children.
Absolutely. After the convictions, all of Karen Matthews' children, including Shannon, were taken into care permanently.
And Shannon herself.
For her own safety and to give her a chance at a normal life, she was given a new identity and placed with a foster family. All ties cut with the past.
So what happened after prison? Matthews and Donovan served their time, or part of it.
They both served about half their sentences. Karen Matthews was released in April 2012, just 4 years.
And what became of her?
Reports suggest she moved down south, changed her look, claimed she found religion, became a born-again Christian, still relying on benefits, though.
And wasn't something about gambling later on?
Sadly, yes. Later reports surfaced claiming she'd developed a serious gambling problem, using her benefit money for betting. A really tragic spiral.
And Michael Donovan?
He was also released early. He passed away more recently, actually, April 2024, from cancer. He was 54.
Right. And did the system learn anything? Was there a review?
Yes, a serious case review reported back in 2010. It looked at whether social services or police could have predicted or prevented the abduction.
And what did it find?
The official conclusion was no. They decided that based on what professionals knew before the kidnapping, they couldn't have foreseen it. There wasn't enough evidence, they said, to justify taking Shannon into care before it all happened.
Which is interesting, given the later revelations about the drugging, that finding that the crime was unforeseeable.
It brings you right back to that chilling detail, doesn't it? The nearly 2 years of alleged chemical sedation, that wasn't a public crisis until Karen made it one.
Exactly. The drugging shows this wasn't just about a quick grab for cash. The kidnapping seems almost like the final, desperate public act in what might have been a long-hidden history of control and neglect.
A history designed to keep things quiet, compliant. It really highlights a massive blind spot, doesn't it? How do services even begin to detect that kind of insidious internal abuse, drugging a child over years before it escalates into something public and horrific?
It's deeply disturbing. So reflecting on everything we've covered, what really stands out to you about the sheer layers of cruelty here, particularly from the mother? And what does it tell us, if anything, about the warning signs, visible or invisible, that society still struggles to see when it comes to protecting children inside their own homes?
It's a haunting question. It forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth that sometimes the greatest danger isn't an outsider, but someone who should be the ultimate protector.
That was the deep dive.